you one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan.
All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! You on the ready line, Marine? Just them to die! Get on the ready line!
Would you like up here?
Keep back, don't scare her.
Movement! Talk to me, Hudson!
I got signals. I got readings in front and behind.
There's nothing back here.
Look, I'm telling you, there's something moving and it ain't us.
Get them out of there!
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
There's movement all over the place! 5 meters, man. 4.
Aliens. This time, it's war.
G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my Franchise Friday movie reviews. Now, if you watched last week's movie review, you know what we're in for. We are looking at the Alien franchise. And this week we are looking at one of the greatest sequels ever made, Aliens. Now, before we dive into this one, I do want to say a big thank you to all my new and existing subscribers. Now, I know I do say it every week, but truly, thank you so much. Your support means well to me. So, yeah, thank you. Anyway, getting into the movie. Aliens came out in 1986. The film was directed by James Cameron, and it stars Sigourney Weaver, Michaelbiehn, Lance Henriksen, Paul Reiser, Billpaxton, Carrie Henn, Jeanette Goldstein, William Hope, Al Matthews, and Mark Rolston, amongst others. The plot. Decades after surviving the Nostromo incident, Ellen Ripley is sent out to re-establish contact with a terraforming colony, but finds herself battling the alienqueen and her offspring. Look, this is a sequel that not only takes the original concept, but enhances and takes it on a whole new direction and a whole new level. This is what a lot of sequels to good movies fail at. They take the concept and they try and replicate it or copy it. You know, and unfortunately when you make a copy, it's not always going to be a good thing. You know, it misses more often than not. James Cameron knows what he's doing with these sequels. This is one example, Terminator 2 being the other greatest, one of the greatest sequels ever made, let's be honest. Like, he knows his shit and he does it well. Recently, I had the opportunity to watch this on the big screen thanks to Radical Rewind, and wow. This film still does not disappoint in any way. And watching it on the big screen was just mind-blowing. So now it's time to take off and nuke the entire site from orbit, because it's the only way to be sure with Aliens.
Franchise Fridays on the screen, horror shows, zombies scream, vampires biting, shadows gleam, slasher delights in my dream. monster swims in fear. Ghouls and ghosts, they appear. Sci-fi flicks, end is near. Join the horror, shed a tear.
Now, diving into the cast, I will say fair warning, strap yourself in because this dropship's going down. Sigourney Weaver delivers one of the most iconic performances in sci-fi cinema history, solidifying Ripley as one of the greatest action protagonists of all time. Yeah, unlike Alien, where Ripley was part of an ensemble, Aliens places her firmly in the lead, and Sigourney Weaver carries the film effortlessly. She portrays Ripley's trauma, her vulnerability, and her growing resolve with incredible depth. You know, from her reluctant return to LV-426.
You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
To her transformation into a battle-hardened predator. Her range is on full display. Michaelbiehn's very understated performance as Hicks provides a perfect counterbalance to the film's louder, more brash characters.
No offense.
Where many of the Marines, Hudson, Vasquez, Drake, are aggressive and overconfident, Hicks is calm, he's level-headed, and above all, he's professional. His quiet leadership makes him an ideal foil for Ripley. He trusts her instincts, respects her experience, and he never underestimates the danger they face. Yeah, his chemistry with Sigourney Weaver is also excellent. Yeah, and their subtle romance, yeah, it feels natural rather than
Get another one in quick. Slap.
The scene where he teaches Ripley to use a pulse rifle is one of the standout moments because it shows them getting closer, both literally and metaphorically, and it demonstrates a mutual respect between the two. Lance Henriksen brings an eerie yet ultimately endearing performance to Bishop, the synthetic android on board the Sulaco. Now, given Ripley's traumatic experience with Ash in the first film, her mistrust of Bishop adds an extra layer of tension. Yeah, you never are really too sure whether you can trust him when you first find out. Like, is he there as a plant from Weylandyutani? We don't know. But Henriksen plays this role with a subtle kindness that makes you believe and want to believe he's not bad. His soft-spoken nature and his unwavering calm make him distinct from the more intense human characters of the film. Yeah, when he gets torn in half by the alienqueen but still manages to help Ripley, it solidifies him as one of the franchise's best androids. Paul Reiser, on the other hand, he plays a little bit against type. Whilst he is better known for his more comedic roles, this is a very slimy, manipulative company man, Carter Burke. Yeah, everyone knows that name, hates the guy. His performance is layered, and at first he presents himself as sympathetic and helpful. He wants the best for Ripley, or so we believe. But as the film progresses, his true nature comes forth, and the best scene with him is his attempted betrayal, locking Ripley and Newt in the room with the facehuggers. It's one of the film's most chilling moments, and when he's caught afterwards, the way he tries to worm his way out of it, you just want to slap him.
I say we grease this rat fuck son of a bitch right now.
Billpaxton delivers one of the most memorable performances in this film, turning Hudson into an instantly quotable fan favorite character. Initially cocky and full of bravado, he completely unravels when the situation turns dire, becoming the voice of sheer panic. Despite his cowardice, though, Paxton ensures that Hudson still remains likable. His fear is relatable, and he ultimately goes out like a hero, fighting to the bitter end. His comedic timing is flawless, and he gives Alien some of the best one-liners. Game over, man. Game over is so quotable. I can't say any more about it. Every actor in Aliens plays their part to perfection, turning what could have been, rather stock standard characters into compelling and memorable individuals. The chemistry between all the characters in the Marines, it makes them feel like a real lived-in unit. While Weaver and Beehn, they provide the emotional core to this unit. Cameron's casting choices, from bringing back Sigourneyweaver to making unexpected picks like Paul Reiser and Jeanette Goldstein, continue to or contribute to Aliens being one of the greatest action movies ever made.
Damn you, open this door!
So now we move on to the directing and writing. And look, James Cameron's direction shifts Aliens from the slow burn horror to an action-packed, high-intensity war film. His ability to balance large-scale spectacle with deeply personal stakes makes the film stand out. He builds tension, much like in the first film, expertly. From the eerie exploration of the abandoned colony, going underground, trying to find the colonists, to the full throttle, adrenaline-packed finale. Cameron emphasizes practical effects, claustrophobic set pieces, designs, and a gritty industrial aesthetic, which just enhances the film's realism and its impact. And it's side note to this, it's great to see that continued with Alien Romulus. They kept the set pieces, the design of it very gritty, very industrial. But we'll get to that later on. The screenplay also expands on Ripley's character, gives her, family, whatnot, and in her past, which obviously didn't go too well, but it transforms her into one of cinema's most iconic action heroes. Her maternal bond with Newt, which is emphasized due to the loss of her daughter due to the hypersleep that she was in for so long, adds an emotional core that elevates the stakes beyond just plain survival and makes it that much more intense. The dialogue in the film is memorable, given the Marines' distinctive personalities. I already quoted, Hudson, game over, man, game over. You've got Vasquez, she's that tough as nails. Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man? No. Have you? Just these smart-ass comments, these lines are delivered so well, and they're so well written. The script also explores other themes like corporate greed through Burke's betrayal and him wanting to get the alien back to Earth. And it contrasts the cold indifference of Weylandyutani with Ripley's humanity and wanting to destroy all the aliens because she knows what will happen. Yeah, and so do we.
Because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Now, where Alien was a slow-paced horror film influenced by haunted house movies, Aliens reinvents the franchise as an action thriller with war movie elements. This tonal shift works because it expands the universe logically. If the first film was about encountering an unknown terror, this one's about humanity's attempts to fight back, only to be overwhelmed. You know, the Marines' initial confidence, it's contrasts sharply with their panic later on, reinforcing the xenomorph's lethality. You know, additionally, Ripley's transformation from survivor to warrior feels earned. You know, making a final confrontation with the Queen one of the cinema's most satisfying moments.
Get away from her, you bitch!
So now on to the effects. The film's effects, both practical and visual, remain groundbreaking. Stan Winston's work brings the xenomorphs to terrifying life. And the alienqueen is an incredible achievement in creature design. The egg sacs, you know, the head shape, everything about it is so next level. The mix of miniatures, rear projection, practical stunts, they make the action feel visceral and gives it a realism. You know, the film also employs subtle but effective sound design, and that's something that doesn't get spoken of a lot. Motion tracker beeps, the pulse rifle fire, the unsettling alien screeches, they all work together to heighten the tension. You know, despite being 40 odd years old, the practical effects in Aliens remain superior to many CGI heavy films or modern CGI heavy films. The combination of animatronics, miniatures, practical effects, innovative design, and work, they create a tangible sense of danger and realism that CGI just often struggles to replicate. So now on to rewatchability. Have I rewatched this one? Of course I have. Will I rewatch this one again? Affirmative. This is a film that shows what can be done to make a sequel work. It takes the original concept, expands on it, and does it just immensely better. It doesn't just rinse and repeat. It makes it new, it makes it engaging, and it makes it exciting. So even after watching it many, many times, I will still go back and rewatch this one. Final verdict. Aliens masterfully reinvents a franchise without losing its horror roots. Cameron's direction, a strong emotional core, and thrilling action sequences makes it one of the greatest sequels of all time. The blend of sci-fi, horror, and military action remains unmatched, solidifying its legacy as both a genre classic and a benchmark for sequels done right. Overall, for a score, Aliens gets a 9 out of 10. There you have it. That is my review of Aliens. Now, I'm not going to ask if you've seen this one because I'm guessing you have, because it's Aliens. It's one of the greatest movies. Well, in my opinion, it's one of the greatest films ever made. But hey, have you actually seen it? Have you not seen it? Are you going to go watch it now? Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the movie, or if you're going to go check it out now. Though I honestly can't imagine anyone who hasn't seen it because, yeah. But then again, who knows? Anyway, I'm blathering on. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button. It'd be much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Hit that notification bell so that way you're notified every time I do release a new review. Obviously, we are going through the Aliens franchise. We've got Alien 3 coming up, and we will be ending up back with Alien Romulus. Yeah. So we've got a few to get through. Let's see how they go, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with my thoughts on some of these films. Anyway, before I dribble on too much, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
Ginger Ninja on the prowl, franchise Fridays is going wild. Oh yeah! Zombies, vampires, ready to hunt, movie nights never mild.